matter comes up for voting. Their inability to do that is a very clear signal of the extent to which we may be betrayed by some persons that we consider as friends. And this is an important point to make. When I finish, you can make your correction. But it won't take you far, because I speak the truth. And in fact, if you attempt a correction, then we can discuss the matter in full. And you know that if we discuss the matter in full, it can become very embarrassing. I'm sure you know that. So don't attempt that. Yes. You see, comrades and friends, my position and the position of people like me is radically different from some of the positions that I'm hearing around. I've heard people say that let's review the agreement, let's change some clauses. No matter clauses, the number of clauses we change in this agreement, it will remain a very bad agreement. This agreement cannot be changed and cannot be improved. It is a bad agreement and we ought to reject it in full. And I'll show you why. You see, when I entered this room, I was sitting somewhere there, and the organizer decided that those in the room should talk about the expectation before we start and so on. And I heard some pretty frightening statements. Somebody got up and said, we should be discussing the benefits of the agreement as well as the pitfalls of the agreement and so on. Benefits of slavery? Of course, there are people in our country who think that colonialism was very beneficial. Look, when it comes to our liberty, there cannot be any benefit. National sovereignty is not for sale and not for sale at any price. That is the point you must be making. We are not selling who we are. We are not selling our rights over our territory and so on for any amount. So those of you who want to count benefits, go and count it somewhere else, not in this agreement. Because there are no benefits in this agreement, and there cannot be any benefit in this agreement. Now, listen, again, in this very room, today, I've heard statements like, so what can we do? And then some people say, but the agreement has been signed already, so what? The bond of 1844 was signed, and yet we fought against it and got freedom from colonialism. We will do it again. Look, we are talking about a proud and courageous people called Ghanaians. We are talking about people who waged war against the colonial establishment and won on 6 March 1957. We are talking about the land of Yaa Asantewaa. We are talking about the land of Sergeant Adjete and Corporal Atipo. We are talking about the land of Jinkri Jewu and Kwame Nkrumah. We are proud, we are brave, and we resist oppressors' rule. And we shall continue to resist oppressors' rule until final victory. Nothing is going to stop our victory. Yes, the agreement has been signed already. So what? If we organize well, if we show that we are sufficiently angry, no government can keep this agreement. Of course, don't forget that they tried to sign and keep a similar agreement in 2007 and thereabout. Don't forget that President Bush came all the way from the United States of America and told us that we should forget it. Nothing like that was happening. Don't forget that President Kufuor denied that he was entering any such agreement when the truth was that they were negotiating such an agreement. Why do you think that they became so frightened that eventually both America and Ghana had to deny that they were entering into any agreement? It was because of the fire they saw. Let them see that fire today and see whether this agreement will pass or not. You know, the first time I read this agreement, some say that it was a sad day for Ghana and so on. I actually felt revulsion in my stomach. I felt revulsion and pain. You know what this agreement says? My goodness. This is an agreement which says that a soldier of the United States Armed Forces has more immunities and privileges than the American ambassador in Accra. This is the agreement which says that an ordinary soldier of no rank in the U.S. Armed Forces has more immunity and privileges than the British High Commissioner, than the Guinean ambassador, than the Nigerian High Commissioner, and so on. How can we accept such an agreement? The agreement says that for the U.S. soldier, he can walk into our country, drive into our country, fly into our country, swim into our country, and all he needs is a U.S. Army ID card. He doesn't need a passport, and he doesn't need a visa. The U.S. ambassador, when he's coming here, he needs a passport, and he needs a visa. So we are signing an agreement which places a U.S. soldier way and above heads of diplomatic missions in terms of the privileges they enjoy and so on. That is what we are doing. But you see, it is even more serious than that. We have entered into an agreement which simply says that if a U.S. soldier comes into Ghana and out of a drunken stupor or just silly pranks which they do all the time and so on, he picks up a weapon and he shoots a Ghanaian soldier, we have no right of compensation. If a U.S. soldier shoots a Ghanaian soldier, we have no right of compensation. Now, we are on radio, so you may be listening to me in Shukura. You may be listening to me in Mamobi. You may be listening to me in Kumasi or any other place in Ghana. Our government has entered into an agreement with the United States of America which says that if U.S. soldiers come here and demolish your house, Ghanaian law does not apply and you are not entitled to compensation. That's the law they have signed. I mean, what an outrage. What an outrage. How can this be defended? What are you going to take out of this agreement to make it sensible? Tell me what you are going to take out of this agreement to make it sensible. And then you know something which is very strange. I mean, last year, all of us were horrified by some charges which were imposed on radio stations for the use of spectrum. Ghanaians owning radio stations were shutting down their radio stations one by one. As we speak, Muntie FM is off the line because they cannot pay for spectrum. But when the Yankees come, we will give them spectrum to use for free. We will give them the same radio spectrum to use for free. What is not available to Ghanaians will be available to them. What happened to our leaders? What happened to our leaders? And you know, Master, they say we should talk about experts and so on. In fact, some of our experts, they are completely useless. Absolutely useless. I was talking to one of them who happens to be a very well-respected lawyer. And I said, look, we have entered into an agreement which says that if we have a dispute with the United States of America, we cannot go to court. We cannot go to court in Ghana. We cannot go to court anywhere. We cannot even apply to any international tribunal for the resolution of the conflict. And then he says, oh, that is not the aspect of the aspect. The aspect says that is not what the agreement says. And now what the agreement says is that if we have to go to court, it has to be by mutual consent. Amen. The U.S. has wronged us. We want to go to court, and it must be by mutual consent. What is that? It's an aspect in law. You understand? What is in the agreement simply says that if the U.S. say, I don't agree, you can't go to court. That's all. Mutual consent, that's all it means. And yet this lawyer doesn't get it. Once he sees mutual, he thinks that all of us have to agree. Why should all of us have to agree when you have wronged me for me to take you to court? But you see, this is one of the problems of the agreement. And then there are some strange people in our country who say very strange things. And the other day I heard one of them. Big man, pa. I was going to school, but it didn't help him very much, you know. And I heard this man. Jesus Christ. And this man was saying that, look, this agreement, what? We can opt out of this agreement easily. All we have to do is to give them 1 year notice. Read the agreement. This agreement has no termination point. This agreement, theoretically and technically, can last for 50 million years. 50 million years. And who told the people we elected into government that the U.S. has ever kept its word anywhere? Who told them that? Look, the agreement for the use of the Guantanamo Bay in Cuba expired more than 60 years ago. The Cubans have told the Americans that the agreement has expired, leave. They say we will not leave, and they are still there. You understand? And then our president goes to do a broadcast, and he says that, oh, we have been friendly with the Americans, we've been working with them all these years. They have not abused our hospitality. And therefore, we believe that they will never abuse our hospitality. Oh, poor Mr. President. Why? The world in which we live today, we must be guided by our own experiences, and we must be guided by the experiences of other people. That is why they call it a global world. The experiences of other people are available for us to learn from. The atrocities that the U.S. Army has committed around the world is mind-boggling. I recall a few years ago when I saw photographs of U.S. soldiers in Somalia arresting Somalis and roasting them on fire alive. Roasting Somalis, Africans, on fire alive. And I saw it. Why? I'm sure Professor, when he spoke, told you about the story of the Okinawa, what's our name? Okinawa base. And the story is unbelievable. These U.S. soldiers, they go to town, they get drunk. Then they kidnap any woman they can find, married, unmarried, children, adults, and so on. And they sleep with them, wah. And in some instances, they actually video them for sale as pornographic material. And this is happening. You understand? Only a couple of days ago, the Daily Mail of the UK reported how 54 Colombian women had been raped by U.S. soldiers on a military base, and how they have filmed this sexual escapades and sold them out as pornographic films. That experience does not matter to our leader. That experience does not matter to the people in Parliament. And that experience certainly does not matter to the President. You know, the day on which this agreement was passed, I spent a hell of time in Parliament. And the Speaker of Parliament, Right Honorable, not just Right Honorable, you add Professor to his name. Add Reverend also, and so on. And he was explaining why the minority had walked out. I'm not too sure if I should repeat what he said. He said it was because of what he called nature's call. That was the explanation of the Right Honorable Reverend Professor Okwe. That was his explanation. And so, but you see, we are dealing with something which is exceedingly scary. And if they say that we are engaged in scaremongering, of course we should be engaged in scaremongering, because what we are dealing with is exceedingly scary. All of us know that the United States of America is a nuclear power. We know that, don't we? All of us know that the United States of America perhaps has the largest stockpile of chemical and biological weapons in the world. We know that as a fact. So, if our leaders sign an agreement to the United States of America, which says that they can bring any weapons they like into our country, why would they not bring nuclear weapons or biological weapons or chemical weapons? And what would the consequences of that be for the people of Ghana? What would the consequences of that be for the people of Ghana? In any case, I read something which was attributed to our senior and friend and maybe comrade, Brigadier General Nunu Mensah. And I think it can be said in other ways. Look, and this is again our president. Our president says, oh, they are not looking for a military base, they are only looking for facilities. A base cannot be a facility. Hey. This one will be common sense. So sometimes the English self they beat them. You understand? A base can be a facility, you know. But whatever it is, facility, base, whatever. What do you think that the Americans are coming to do at the facility? Let's call it facility. What are they coming to do at the facility? You think they are coming to dance tango? Or they are coming to play table tennis and go back to America? Or they are coming to grow carrots? That base is for military operations. Military operations. And they have stated in that agreement that it is for military operations in West Africa. So, where is their target? In West Africa. Where is that target? Mali? Chad? Where? In any case, why do we think that if the Americans come and use a facility we have provided to them to attack other people, we will not become legitimate targets of those people? What do we think that? If they come and use us to attack anybody, we automatically become legitimate targets for counterattack. And I don't want to die. I don't want my sisters to die, and I don't want my brothers to die in a useless war that does not concern me. Our great-grandfathers fought in the World War, an entirely useless inter-imperialist war that did not concern them. In 2008, what happened in 1945 should not happen again. Africans, Ghanaians, should not die for the imperialist powers. If we have to die, let's die for ourselves and not Donald Trump and his head. Look, a few things have happened since this agreement was approved. And I'm happy they have happened. I've seen the numerous statements which have been issued by people of repute, people with credibility, and so on. And I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that also for a very selfish reason. In fact, when the professor read that man's piece to Professor Mills, it was indicated in it that only me and some few people in the Socialist Forum will resist. If that is the truth, we are finished. Because we will become the targets and so on. You understand? What everybody has done, including all of you who have attended this meeting, is to show that we are not alone. And that the people of Ghana, in their numbers and wisdom, are rising up to resist this nonsense. To say to the world that we will not allow this to pass without a fight. I want to end here. And I want to end here by saying that as far as I'm concerned, this is our second liberation struggle. As far as I'm concerned, this is the second battle of the Ghanaian people against colonialism and foreign domination. The battle has started. And let all of us stand up to be counted. We, in our history, have great people who stood up and fought for our liberty. We cannot forget the backgrounds of our history. We cannot forget the Kesley efforts of our history. We cannot forget the Kobodusas, Jenkrejewus, and Kodobotios of our history. We cannot forget Africans all over the world who stood and fought for us, like Patrice Lumumba. We cannot forget Patrice Lumumba. We cannot forget Amilcar Cabral. We cannot forget Malcolm X. We cannot forget Toussaint Louverture, who fought against slavery and established the first black independent republic of Haiti. Toussaint, whose armed forces defeated the armed forces led by Napoleon Bonaparte. We cannot forget that. We have a chance to become the new Nkrumahs and the new Toussants of our generation. Don't let that chance pass. Let's stand up and fight for our freedom. Let's stand up and fight to preserve national sovereignty, our independence, and our self-respect. Thank you very much.